Hi, good morning. Welcome to Empower Her virtual series. This session is called Woman Behind the Work, featuring Habiba Bankston, our very own executive director. I'm super excited to have you here with us, and I'm ready to dive in. A few housekeeping things. I am open to questions. We will absolutely take questions from Habiba in the audience, so please drop them in the chat, and as we're going through, I'll pull your questions. All right, let's dive in. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. I'm excited.
Good. I feel like I should have introduced myself, but it's all about Habiba today. But my name is Erica Morgan. I'm the Director of Programs at Dress for Success, and I'm super excited. Welcome, everybody. All right, for real, let's dive in.
Okay.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
How you feel?
I feel good.
Good. I'm excited to have you as my first in-person guest during Empower Her. And so we're going to dive right in.
Okay.
So tell us, who is Habiba Bankston?
Who is Habiba Bankston? I'm a number of things. I am a mother. I am a wife. I'm a sister, a daughter, a friend, a leader. But typically when I get that question, my response is I am a billboard of God's grace and a shining example of our community.
Yeah. A billboard of God's grace.
That's
right. I love that. Look, pin that. We done started with a nugget. You know how we do.
And I mean, I say that because nothing about my family, my upbringing, my story, my journey, you would think that I would be here based upon a lot of the things that I've been through, seen, and experienced. Just from my health challenges, also to just, where I come from. I am the daughter of immigrants, both my mother and my father. They came to the United States from Ghana, West Africa, almost 50 years ago. And, they only had a high school education. They came here because they wanted to, pursue a better life, greater for them, for the family that they were hoping to create, but also for the family members that they had back home. So, both of my parents were hustlers, and I mean that in a good way, not in a bad way. But they landed in New York City, in Brooklyn, New York specifically. And, they were go-getters. They were resilient people who were just committed to really creating strong lives for themselves. So my dad was a serial entrepreneur. He owned a restaurant as well as a grocery store in the heart of Brooklyn on Flatbush Avenue. If you're familiar with New York, you know what Flatbush Avenue means and what it means to that city. And he started a number of businesses, but those were the two that I remember the most because, our restaurant served Ghanaian cuisine. The grocery store, it sold primarily, ingredients and things that you would use in West African food. And my mom, she always wanted to be a nurse. That's what she was committed to. That's what she wanted to do, but she never had an opportunity to continue her education. And she was committed to just working and being able to provide for her family. So she started washing dishes and working in the cafeteria of a local hospital. And she worked her way all the way up to be a surgical tech. So again, with a limited education. So I've always been around community. I've always been connected to that. And I think I got that from my parents because our house, 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York, and it was filled with love, but also with a lot of people, which is what a lot of people don't know about my story. Our home became like the landing pad for a lot of people who were coming from Ghana to the United States to, again, start a new life, a better life, similar to what my parents were trying to do. So we always had people in our home. And I didn't realize what my parents were doing at that time, but they were always committed to creating spaces of community and a sense of belonging for people to be connected, to see themselves, and to know that they weren't alone in the things that they were going through. And that has stuck with me. And those are some of the things that have kind of followed me throughout my own career and why I'm so committed to the work that I'm doing right now.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. I have a side question.
Okay.
So your dad owns a restaurant.
Correct.
That sold Ghanaian food, cuisine.
Correct.
Did that pass down to you? Can you cook?
I cook a little bit, just a little. I cook for sustenance, not for anything fancy. I'm not a chef. I know how to follow directions. My husband is the chef in our house. When we're hosting people, he cooks, but I'm good when it comes to Googling and catering.
Come on, Google.
Okay. me when it comes to finding a good chef.
All right. Thank you for answering that. All right, so you're a wife, you're a leader in the community, you're a new mom. How do you balance all the hats that you wear?
I take it one day at a time, and I've had to learn to do that after I gave birth to my son. Anybody who knows me and has known me for a very long time, I'm very type A. I like to be in control. I like to plan things. That's just how I am. That's how I've always been. But once having my son, and also now, being married to an elected official, there is nothing about my life right now that I really have the ability to control. So I've learned to just go with the flow, take things one day at a time. Because control is an illusion. Yeah. I know that now. It's been much more clear to me. And I really try to live and operate in grace every day, not only for other people, but for myself. So yeah, that's kind of how I balance it, but also just, I live by my calendar. But I try not to restrict myself simply by my calendar.
Awesome. And I know that you are not alone as type A. There are so many type A's. I'm sure they're tuning in right now, right?
No, let it go. Let it go. I told myself this year, I was like, what is the thing that you're going to do differently? And I decided that I'm going to release perfection and pursue excellence. That is the thing that guides me in my house, in my work, in my relationships. We are not perfect people, but we can strive for excellence every day. And you define what excellence is.
Yes. Like I'm gonna get I love that you define what excellence is and means for you. I love that. Because nobody's perfect. But we can always strive to be excellent and live in that. I love that. All right. So what do you do for self-care?
Oh, this is a hard question because I've been terrible about self-care for a very long time. Again, things changed for me drastically once I had my son, because I started recognizing that I'm not just living for me, but like I'm also living for him and for his care and what he needs. So it's forced me to look at my own care very differently, because it means so much more now. Before, self-care to me was going to get my nails done, making sure I had my hair appointments every 2 weeks. Because those are the things that always made me feel good and made me feel beautiful. But self-care is so much more than what's on the outside. So now self-care for me is seeing my therapist once a month.
Amen.
Come on, therapy.
Yeah.
If you don't have a therapist, get one. Yeah. But I see her once a month. And it gives me the opportunity to really unload mentally. And it makes such a big difference in just how I care for myself, how I care for the people that I love, and also how I operate in my work, because I don't take for granted the fact that I'm not just leading people, but I'm leading women, and we are natural nurturers. So I'm trying my best to make sure that I am a walking example of how I want other women around me to operate. What else do I do for self-care? I have learned to set boundaries around my schedule.
Okay.
That is something that my coach, shout out to Dawn Tyler Lee, taught me, that, as a leader, it's not just about performance, but it's about the pause too. The pause matters in how you show up in all of the spaces that you're in. So I try to be mindful. There are some days that are dedicated to meetings, and then there are some days that are dedicated to me just taking a deep breath, maybe responding to emails mostly, or just giving myself the room and the opportunity to think. Because there's so much in front of us, whether it's social media, meetings, being in front of people. And as a busy executive, my time is constantly consumed. And I don't always have the opportunity to just pause and take a deep breath and to really just think about what's in front of me, what's coming. So I had to be much more intentional about setting those boundaries around my time. So I try not to have meetings before 9 a.m. and I try not to have meetings after 3 p.m.
I
Those
love
are
that.
small things.
There is power in the pause.
There's power in the pause, yes.
Yes.
There's one more thing.
Oh.
First being with my sister friends.
Yeah,
Like,
amen. Yeah.
I've been struck. So after having my son, and I know a lot of things have been revolving around that, but for the mothers who are tuning in, mommyhood changes you. It changes you drastically. And I went through postpartum, really bad postpartum, after I had my son, and I started to just reevaluate a lot of things, and it just made even more clear to me that I need to be around people that I love and people who just give me love and light. So yes, I see my therapist. Yes, I'm intentional about setting boundaries around my time and how I'm spending my time. But being around people who fill your cup is incredibly important. And sometimes my schedule won't let me be great and I don't get a chance to have that time with them as much as I want to. But a happy hour here or there, it makes a big difference for me.
Okay, because we love a good happy hour.
Okay.
We love a good happy hour.
We love a good happy hour.
But going back, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. So to be surrounded by people that can pour into you is so important. Absolutely. Because times, you're busy, you're always on the go, you're like, you need to take a pause. But that pause sometimes and oftentimes means spending that sister time and being refilled. Can I get a refill?
Come on, refill.
Want me to sing? Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Look, I was about to play the song. I was waiting for you to leave. I was gonna jump in.
All right, so I'm gonna pause real quick just to reiterate that you are welcome to ask questions in the chat. We see you in the chat. We thank you for being here and tuning in. But feel free to drop questions for Habiba. This is a safe space. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So before working at Dress for Success, your career was all things corporate. What inspired you to take this path in life and switch to nonprofit?
I chose to make this shift to nonprofit work because honestly, it happened during the pandemic as we were all in our homes, forced to work from home, and we really couldn't go anywhere. It really gave me the space and the opportunity to think about my future and what I wanted to do. Prior to coming to Dress for Success, I worked at L Brands, supporting the L Brands Foundation, working alongside some incredible leaders like Janelle Coleman, Ro Fields, Bruce Soul, and the list kind of goes on. And doing foundation work and supporting the L Brands Foundation, it just exposed me to so many amazing nonprofit organizations across the community that were doing phenomenal work. And having a seat at the table that gave me an opportunity to help in deciding how dollars are being invested back into the community, I fell in love with it. But once the pandemic hit and I sat down and I was like, it fills my cup tremendously to be able to say that, we're investing into the community and into these nonprofits. But I really wanted to see what it felt like on the other side of the table. What does direct service look like? What does it mean to really be boots on the ground and to be a part of the work that really is transforming lives for so many people in our community? And that's honestly why I made that transition. I wanted to be, I really wanted to be ingrained and in the midst of the transformation and the impact that was happening in our community. So I think that, who knows where things are gonna go for me after this, but I think that, being right here and in the midst of the work that's happening at Dress for Success, it's only gonna, make me a better leader.
Yeah. I know I've shared this with you before, but we are glad to have you at Dress. Your passion it doesn't go unnoticed, and we feel it. We feel it in the work. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I love you too.
Yes. All right. So since we're talking about Dress for Success and you coming over, and we're so glad to have you here, can you kind of talk about who is the Dress Woman? Who is Dress for?
So dress is every woman, and you probably can't see our pins on the screen, but it literally says dress is every woman, and that truly is who Dress for Success Columbus is for. We are committed to empowering all women to achieve economic independence. Whether you are a woman in crisis, a woman in the classroom, a stay-at-home mom, someone who's experiencing transition from one career field to another, somebody who is exploring new opportunities or in the midst of career advancement, you can see yourself at Dress for Success. You can find growth opportunities. You can get the resources, the tools, the sisterhood, the network of support that you need, that's going to allow you to grow and to thrive in whatever success looks like for you, in whatever work you're doing. For a very long time, and Dress for Success has an incredibly rich history, not just here in the Columbus community, but across the globe. But I think for many years, a lot of folks have only viewed dress in a very specific way, thinking that we only serve a certain type of woman. And maybe that is a woman in crisis, a woman who was recently incarcerated and trying to get reacclimated and back on her feet, a woman who unfortunately, went through a domestic violence situation, and now she's being forced to really get on her own 2 feet. Or a woman who might be living in the shelter system. Crisis looks very different for many people, and circumstances are different, but dress is so much more than, that woman in crisis. She is absolutely the core of our work. She is who we have focused on and always focused on for many years. But the world is changing. The needs of women across our community and across the globe are changing. And dress is evolving, and we're trying to figure out how can we step up and do more to serve a variety of women, because the workforce is challenging for us. It's not built to support women. So we have to make sure that we're creating those spaces where we can pour into one another, where we can lift one another up. And that is what Dress for Success is. So dress is for you. If you didn't know, it's for you.
We see you. Yes. You
It's
right
for you.
there, wrapped up in your blanket, tuning in, or sitting at your computer desk. Dress is for you. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So we know that dress is for all women. You are welcome. We would love to see you. Come reach out to us. But outside of just the programming and the services that Dress for Success have, what are ways that the community can get involved at Dress?
There's so many ways that the community can get involved at Dress for Success. I mean, we are a small but mighty team of 8, as you know, Erica. And we honestly cannot do the work that we do to serve women in this community without consistent and dedicated volunteers. So again, if you want to volunteer and get involved, there's a variety of ways to do that. Whether that's coming in and being a stylist, if you're a fashionista and you want to help other women, get dressed in a way that's going to allow them to feel empowered and phenomenal. You can come into our space and do that. You can help us in managing and going through our inventory that we receive in excess every single week. But you can also, donate your talent in addition to your time. There's a number of committees that really help to drive the work of Dress for Success forward. So, whether that's finance, marketing, programs, events, there's so many different ways that you can get connected and really support and lift up the work that we're doing here at Dress. But if you don't have the time to donate or the talent to donate, you can make a financial investment in our organization, and that is truly what fuels our work forward. So there's no limits to how you can get involved in the work of Dress for Success, and how you can play a small part in making an impact that's going to transform the life of a woman in this community. The opportunities are endless.
So I want to give a special shout out to just this past weekend, we had our Fab sale. You want to talk a little bit about the Fab sale?
Sure, I'd love to talk about the Fab sale. So the Fab sale it's truly an incredible shopping experience for all women in the community. I mean, when we talk about the donations that we receive at Dress for Success, sometimes it's more than we can manage. And we try our best to figure out how can we not only support the women who are coming through our doors, but what are some of the additional things that we can do to support any and all women across the community. And we all want to look phenomenal. We all want to look fabulous. We all want to look our best when we're showing up in the workspace. So the Fab Sale is a grassroots fundraiser to support the work of Dress for Success. It allows women across this community to find fabulous finds to add to her closet. But it also makes a tremendous impact on the work that we're doing, because every purchase, every bag that's sold, it goes right back to support the work of Dress for Success. So if you are a woman who likes to look fabulous and you love a good shopping experience, you can come and get some gently used items, or sometimes completely brand new. You can come to our quarterly Fab Sales at Dress for Success, and it makes a huge impact on the women in this community.
It really does. Listen, every time I record Empower Her virtual series, or if I'm in person, I am wearing something from the Fab Sale. So this dress, you can't see it completely, but this dress is from the Fab Sale.
Fab Sales have changed my life.
Listen.
People always ask me, Habiba, where do you shop, or where are you getting your outfits from? The Fab Sale. Yes. And it's on a budget. When we talk about economic independence, and we're talking about really helping women to manage their finances and really get on their feet to support their families, you can look fabulous on a budget while making an impact all at the same time. Now, I'm not telling you not to go shop at Saks and Macy's and all these other spaces, but you can come to Dress and invest those dollars, not only in yourself and in your closet, but also in another woman in this community.
Yes. So I hope to see you soon. If you're not following us, you should be. And stay connected to us so you will know the next dates for the Fab Sale, because it's definitely where you want to be.
Don't miss the Fab Sale.
So there is, okay, Queen Team, I see you in the chat. Shameless plug. We are in huge need of purses, coats, and shoes size 8.5 and up. So I thank you for dropping that in there. We would love to have you support. We have donations on Mondays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Again, Monday and Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. All right, so let's keep it moving.
Okay, these are good questions.
What is your favorite thing about leading the mission of Dress for Success Columbus?
Oh, this is a good question. I would say that my favorite thing about leading this incredible organization is the fact that every day I wake up and I have the opportunity to remind people of their power. And not just the women that we serve, but literally everybody in the community. I have the opportunity to remind them of their power. For the women who come through our doors, I had the opportunity to remind them that they are capable, that they are worthy, that no matter what their circumstances, what they might be experiencing at that moment in time, you have the power and the potential to change your story. It's all about how you see yourself. It's all about how you invest in yourself. But in addition to the women that we serve, every day I get a chance to step into the community, meeting with corporate organizations, meeting with donors and volunteers and just different individuals, reminding them of the power that they have to invest in a woman's future. I feel beyond blessed every day that I get a chance to dedicate my time, my talent, and also my power in reminding people and galvanizing people to be a part of something that is bigger than themselves.
Power.
Absolutely.
You all have it within you, and be a part of something that is bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
Girl, come on with a word or three. Listen. Let's go pause and just reiterate power. You have it within you. So I love that. I love that. And you definitely, you're not just saying it, but that is truly
what we do every day. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, girl.
Absolutely.
All right. It's all the things in the chat, but I'm trying to see if there's any questions. All right. Does anyone have any questions? All right. All right. So, what is the best advice that someone has ever given you?
The best advice. A long time ago, someone told me to never allow the opinions of others to be the myth that defines you.
Wow.
And that has stuck with me for a very long time. It's no secret, but a lot of people don't know all parts of my story and my journey. I have some very serious pre-existing health issues. I was born with sickle cell disease. And for those who don't know what sickle cell disease is, it is a blood disorder that causes the red blood cells to be irregularly shaped, which makes it very challenging for it to travel through the bloodstream. It can cause unbearable pain in the body, as well as organ failure, stroke, and also death, unfortunately. I am incredibly blessed in how I've been able to manage and navigate my health challenges. I had a stroke at the age of 17 that I thankfully survived. And I have not experienced another one since then. But I also receive monthly blood transfusions, and I've been doing that for the last 18 years of my life.
Wow.
As I learned that I was heading to the Ohio State University on a full academic scholarship, I also found out that, that's when I experienced my stroke.
Wow.
So even growing up, I think I mentioned that my family is from West Africa. When you think about sickle cell disease and what it means in a place like that, it's a death sentence. Primarily because they didn't have the appropriate, healthcare system to support and really take care of those who were living with sickle cell. So I'm the only one in my family who has this illness, unfortunately. And it made things a little bit challenging for me. I was constantly playing catch up when it came to school. I really didn't get a chance to experience and live the normal life of a child, because I was constantly honestly being told that I couldn't do certain things, or I couldn't do them because of the fear that my physicians or my parents had, because they just wanted me to be okay. They wanted me to simply have life, but I wanted to live a full life. My limitations have always been right in front of my face, not because I've chosen for them to always be right in front of me, but because it's constantly what I was reminded of. You can't do this because of your illness. You can't play sports. You can't run track. You can't travel. There's so many things that you can't do, but rarely was I reminded of what I could do and the potential that I did have. As a child, I was constantly looking for examples of what my life could be despite what I was experiencing. And outside of T-Boz from TLC, who also has sickle cell, I struggled to find any other examples of what a full life with these health challenges could be. And even at the tender age of like 8 or 10, if I'm remembering correctly, I made a decision then that I wasn't simply going to seek to be inspired, but I was going to be an inspiration to myself and to other people. If there aren't other stories of what sickle cell can look like, you will be that story.
Yes.
And that's a decision that I had to make. I am a broken little girl that made a choice to be a bold woman.
Because broken crayons still color.
Come on. So when I say that quote, or what was shared with me about, don't allow the opinions of other people to be the myth that defines you. People only, put my limitations in front of me. Opportunities have been stripped from me, because sometimes people judge the things that they don't understand. Yeah. And I wasn't going to allow that to define me. My circumstances did not dictate my calling. My disease did not dictate what my destiny was going to be. And that is something that has stuck with me. And I hope that if you're somebody who is living with an illness, an invisible disease, don't allow the limited view of other people to determine how you operate. Own your truth, own your truth, claim your power, and live out loud.
Yes, live out loud.
Live out loud.
Don't let the opinions of others be the myth that defines you.
That's right.
That's a whole sermon. That'll preach.
Yes.
That'll preach.
I was told I couldn't be a mom, that I wouldn't be able to successfully carry a child, that I would be living on government assistance for the rest of my life, because most people who are living with sickle cell disease, they struggle to manage a full-time job because we're constantly sick and constantly going through things. And I said, no, that's not going to be me. Not at all.
Okay, so thank you for being transparent.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. I see in the chat that has definitely blessed other people. So thank you for that. And thank you for saying no and saying yes over your life.
Absolutely.
No, that's not my story.
Correct.
Yes, I'm not just going to live, but I'm going to live and enjoy life.
That's
and we see it. It's written all over, it's written all over your face.
You and me so.
I got a song in my heart today. Maybe we're going to get Habiba to sing a little bit of something. All right, so we're going to, since we were talking about sickle cell and then your story, you founded Beyond the Cell. Can you tell us more about the mission and what inspired you to start that campaign? I feel like we know what inspired.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit more
what inspired it. Beyond the Cell is a platform to increase the education and awareness of sickle cell disease, and also to share the real life stories of those who are living with it, but also those who are impacted by it. Sickle cell is not just an individual disease, it's a community disease. Yeah. My mom has her own story and her own journey with sickle cell. She may not have it, but as somebody who had to care for me and nurture me, she had her own experience. My siblings had their own experience with it. So we all have the ability to raise awareness about this illness that honestly people don't talk enough about. And that's part of the reason why I started that platform. Before, when I would share that I have sickle cell, people would be like, well, what's that? And it's typically people of color, and it primarily affects us. So that in and of itself was scary to me. They would Google it, and I don't know what the definition is on Google, but it's usually something that scares people or shocks people, so much so that they would assume that I don't have the strength to do certain things, or that I can't show up as a normal able-bodied person would. And so that's really what pushed me to start telling my story a little bit more. For many years, I was silent about what I was going through. And I think I mentioned this before, opportunities have been stripped from me because of the lack of education and understanding that people have around sickle cell. And when I turned 30, it started to hit me a little bit more. As I mentioned, I received blood transfusions on a monthly basis, and I've been doing it for the last 18 years. Someone who also had sickle cell that I used to see going to treatment, they would be in the bed right next to me, and he passed away. And he was so young. I was in my early 20s, I want to say, around the time when he passed. And although we weren't that close, it means something to see people, to see the same people that you're going through things with. He's still showing up. He's still going through it. We're still holding on. So to show up to treatment that day and my nurses to tell me that he's no longer with us, that stuck with me in a way that I wasn't prepared for. So when I turned 30, it hit me, Habiba, you need to do something with the strength that God has given you. You need to do something with the power and the strength that you have. And you can tell your story. You can tell your story despite how people may receive it, that it's not for them. It's for the people who are going through something that need to hear your pain, because that is going to be the playbook for them. And that's what inspired the platform. And I didn't want to just, simply share my story, but I wanted to do it in creative ways. I'm a creative. There's so many things I used to do back in the day, whether it was doing hair, sewing, designing clothes, singing, dancing. So I was like, I want to infuse that into how I can re-educate people in this community on what sickle cell is, and the fact that you can play a part in saving somebody's life simply by giving blood, or simply by, educating people on what it is. So photography is something that I enjoy, not being behind the camera, being in front of the camera. That's a little thing for me. I do like to model from time to time. Okay. So I was like, I want to host blood drives, but I want to change the connotation around blood drives. And as I got more and more engaged with the American Red Cross, I noticed that it's consistently a challenge for people of color to get up and to go give blood. Mm-hmm. And yes, we have a very tarnished history when it comes to African Americans in the healthcare industry, but this is about saving us. Yeah. This is about understanding what's impacting us and recognizing the power that we have to do something about saving us. And so I started connecting with different people across the community who either had sickle cell and I didn't know because they weren't openly talking about it, or they had siblings who had it. They had a friend who had it and may have passed away. And I'm like, look at all these stories, look at all these chains that are very much connected to the same thing. So instead of just sharing my patient story, I wanted to share the stories of other people who were also experiencing it. And it kind of took off from there. And it helped to give my pain purpose. I was looking at a quote a couple of days ago, and it said, use gratitude as a weapon against sorrow.
Yes.
Yes. So I was like, this is not just use gratitude as a weapon against sorrow.
Wow.
And I'm overwhelmingly grateful for the Columbus community. Yes, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. That is the space that raised me, but Columbus made me. I found a different sense of resilience and power and purpose here, because this is where my blood transfusions started. I was here in the city of Columbus. The community is constantly pouring into me and literally giving me blood and giving me the strength that I have to do everything that I do. So it was important for me to try to figure out, how do I reinvest back into the community?
Wow.
So yeah, I used gratitude. I used my story as a weapon against sorrow.
As a weapon against sorrow. Thank you. Again, thank you for sharing that, as an aunt of two beautiful nieces that have the sickle cell trait. I am grateful for women like you, for them to see like it's okay. Mm-hmm. So what is something that you would tell people that are living in fear, that know they have the sickle cell trait, or that just they haven't turned their pain into their purpose?
I would say, and I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, your diagnosis will not dictate your destiny.
Yes.
You have the ability to truly decide and compose what your life is going to look like. You must lean into your faith and recognize that regardless of what is happening around you, you have the potential and you have the power to live the life that you desire. Don't allow the things that you can't control to hold you back from pursuing your purpose, whatever that may look like. Again, I was told I would never have a full-time job. I was told I wouldn't graduate from The Ohio State University. I was told I wouldn't be a mother. I was told that it would be a struggle for me to find somebody who would love me past my disease. Absolutely not. You would be surprised the things that people say to others. And it's interesting because when you look at me, you would never know what I've been through. You would never know what I've experienced from a health standpoint. So it's even harder for folks who are dealing with invisible diseases. Yeah. That could be sickle cell, that could be lupus. The list goes on from there. So if you're somebody who is struggling in that way, it's okay to sit in that for a little bit and to feel what you're going through, but don't stay there too long.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And look at her now.
Okay.
Graduated, wife, mother, leader,
yeah.
All the things.
All the things.
And her story is not done.
It's not done. Not at all.
Because our stories are not written by man.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So, come on. We done went to church. We done had all the things. So, what's your go-to food when you are running short on time?
Oh my God. I actually should not say this out loud because I'm trying to do better about how I'm eating, and I hope my trainer is not watching this. Lay's chips are my go-to. My team, my queen team at Dress knows that I have interesting obsession with Lay's chips. But let me tell you where it comes from. There's a purpose behind it. So I mentioned that I'm from New York. There's a brand called Wise Chips.
Okay. Yeah.
I fell in love with it in New York. They do not have it here in the Midwest. And it reminds me so much of Lay's chips. So that's why there's a connection there, because it just reminds me of home.
That's so special.
That's the story. That's the story. Okay. I'm working on it.
We love that, because for whatever reason, I didn't think you was going to say Lay's chips. I was going to say something else and we was going to call you out. Because look at the chat. The chat said Lay's and Chinese food.
That is true. Yes. That also reminds me of home. The best Chinese food in the world is in New York City. It is.
We love that. They sell them at the Family Dollar. They sell the chips at the Family Dollar.
Wise chips? Seriously? Oh, y'all shouldn't have told me that.
Drop the location in the chat for her.
This is a problem.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we know you love a good quote.
I do.
What's your favorite quote?
I have many quotes that I absolutely love. So I can't even choose one, but I will share my own. And I think I said it a little bit earlier. But own your truth, claim your power, live out loud. Despite what you're going through, despite what's in front of you, own your truth, own all the things in your story, the things that you might be proud of, the things that might make you sad, or that you like to shy away from and you don't want to share with other people. Yeah. But claim that, because it's a part of your power. It's a part of your purpose. It's a part of what makes you you. And live out loud. Don't allow other people to dictate how you live your life. Live out loud.
Own your truth, claim your power, and live out loud.
When the book comes out, you're going to know.
Okay. Make sure I get a signed copy. All right. So when you are having a not so good morning, is there a go-to item in your closet that you grab that is an instant mood booster? Oh, come on, question.
Okay. In my closet, that's an instant mood booster. Oh, I love a good dress. If you know me, when I'm really trying to get cute, I'll put a cute dress on with a cold shoulder as such. So I think that's what usually lifts my spirit, and it makes me feel and look fabulous. And I feel like I walk a little bit taller with my head held a little bit higher. So I love a beautiful form-fitting dress. I like classic and timeless clothes, but the cold shoulders just add a little zhuzh that I like.
Oh, come on, zhuzh.
Yes,
zhuzh. Shoulders again.
Come on, zhuzh.
Is there a color dress that makes you feel even more powerful or better?
White.
You do love white.
I love white. I feel like an angel walking around in white. But my power colors are white, red.
You look great in red.
I do. Those are my two colors. Yeah.
Look, I kill them with the shoulder.
Yes, little
shoulder lean. We had a conversation about what to wear. I said, bring them shoulders out.
You did.
Bring them shoulders out. You can never go wrong with a cold shoulder.
Exactly. A cold shoulder never hurt your body.
All right. Feel free to drop some more questions in the chat. Otherwise, one more thing.
Okay.
Maybe two more.
Okay.
Maybe two more.
All right.
Where did the name Queen Team come from?
Ooh. That's a good question. So a couple years ago, I started doing something on Instagram called, Women Crush Wednesdays. Now, I didn't create Women Crush Wednesdays, but I made it a point to highlight and lift up a woman in the community every Wednesday in my stories. And at the end of the chain in my stories, I would say, I see you, I support you, keep shining, queen. And it just kind of stayed with me. I love women. I love the power of women. I love the sisterhood amongst women, how we nurture and pour into one another. And I found myself frequently using the term queen. I refer to myself as a queen, and I started making it a point to refer to other women as queen. So to come to Dress for Success, where I have an incredible team of women that I'm surrounded by, I was like, no, this is my queen team. They're not just my team. They're my queen team, because we are all queens. We all bring something different and phenomenal to the table and to the work that we do at Dress, because empowered women empower women. So we're not only are we queens, but we're raising queens. Doesn't it make you sit up straighter when somebody calls you queen?
Fix my crown.
Right, fix your crown. Yes. And that's the work that we're doing. We're fixing crowns.
We are.
Dusting them off, putting them back on straight. Absolutely.
And reminding you that it's there.
Reminding you that it's there and nobody can ever take it away.
It's yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's your birthright.
That's right. So that's where Queen Team came from. It stuck with me.
Okay. Hey, queens in the chat. See you. All right. So before we go, thank you again for being here and spending the time. I know your schedule is busy. I see it. Look at your calendar. So I appreciate you coming from behind the scenes and out in the community and just sitting down and taking time to just chat with me so that the community can learn more about you. And I'm sure that, they are walking away from this conversation like, wow, I didn't know that, or loving you even more, right? So before we go, what is one thing that you would like to leave with our viewers?
Man, why is this the hardest question? One thing I would like to leave with all the viewers. I would say get involved. Yeah. Get involved and get engaged in the incredible work that's happening across this community. Now, because I work with Dress for Success, I'm going to push and promote Dress for Success. But, we are just one of a number of incredible organizations across this community that's doing good work, that's really doing the work, that's helping people to see themselves, to get off their feet, to explore futures that they probably didn't even see for themselves. So if you're trying to find ways to do something meaningful beyond your 9 to 5, I encourage you to start volunteering and get connected. Find the organization that fits your focus, that fits your interest, and give back. It makes an incredible difference. I mentioned I'm not originally from Columbus. It was my full intention to go back home and go back to New York City. But I ran across somebody, our now Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. I was still very much a girl, around the way girl from Brooklyn who didn't know and understand my full potential. And she saw something in me, and she pulled me off the campus of Ohio State and introduced me to the beauty of this community, not just to the people, but to what service meant. And that stayed with me. And I think that's one of the things that I personally want to continue to encourage people to do. You have to be invested in the growth and the future of your city. The things that you want, the things that you desire, you have the ability to speak to that, to create the things that you want to see right here. And the only way you can do that is by investing your time, your talent, your dollars, and just your overall commitment. And again, that means different things for different people. But what I'm going to continue to remind everybody and leave you all with, get involved. However that means to you, get involved.
Yes, get involved and get engaged.
Yes.
And come to Dress.
Come to Dress.
Come to Dress. We have all the things at Dress. So we would love to have you be involved. We appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to share this with your network. Go to our website to learn about all of our programs. We didn't go through our programs today, but they are listed on our website.
Absolutely.
They are there. All of our social media pages, DFS Columbus, Dress for Success Columbus. We appreciate you. So, Habiba Bankston.
Yes.
Mrs. Habiba Bankston.
Thank you for having me. This
Thank
was
you
fun.
for being here. Thank you. And those who always ask, Erica, where are you at? Where are you recording at? You see a little bit more of the space today. So thank you. Shout out to Legacy House for hosting us.
Yes.
But thank you so much again for tuning in. My name is Erica Morgan. I'm the Director of Programs at Dress for Success Columbus. We do have a professional women's group meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. I would love to see you there in person. If you come, introduce yourself if I don't already know you. Otherwise, have a great, great evening and a beautiful rest of the day, month, year, all of those things. Until next time, see you soon.
Bye.